This video will get going with lesson number 3, or I should say unit number 3, which is personal business letters. And there's a lot of value in those. You're going to use them a lot when you get a little older. So as beginners, sometimes we think, well, how would I use that? But once you get into your junior and senior year of high school, you have a lot of personal business, business with jobs, and even in on to college and scholarship applications that require a quality looking and well-written business letter. So it's a great opportunity to get good at that. So as we look at the first assignment, we're going to be using Google Docs again. So I'm going to just come up here and get a blank document. So here's my first one. I'm going to go ahead and name it right away. So again, we just click the top left, and number 1 is personal business letter, PBL, and we're just going to say it's Sims because that's who we're writing it to. So then I'm just going to click back in my document here. So now that I know I'm in the right document here, I'm going to double check Schoology, of course. So in here, I'm going to come down, and we're in Unit 3, PBL, for personal business letters. And I'm going to go ahead, and in here you'll see that there's a instruction sheet, and of course we'll be adding this video as soon as it's made to this list. So let's take a look at what it says for number 1 in Sims. The first thing it identifies is, as I talked about, reasons for a personal business letter, and there are different styles, but we can't mix styles. So a block style letter means it does not have indents on the paragraph. Modified block, there is an indent in each paragraph, but you can't mix the two, which is a common error probably half of the students make in writing these, because you're so used to indenting your paragraphs, which is great. However, in a block style business letter, we don't. We use a double space between these paragraphs here to identify paragraph structure. So we always have a date on our business letter. We have the address information of who we're writing to, our salutation, the body of the letter, and we usually want at least 3 quality paragraphs. It shouldn't be just a sentence and then over. It should be 3 quality paragraphs. Even if they're shorter paragraphs, at least well written. Then we have the complimentary close. We leave 4 spaces for an authentic signature, and then the author leaves their contact information, address and phone number. And in your guys' case, in the modern era, we'd probably add an email address as well for easy contact, because we always want everybody to have the opportunity to contact us when we're communicating with the letter by any means we can. So this is the format we're looking for, and as we scroll down here on the same instruction sheet, again, this is in Google Docs. Some of you have been kind of struggling, switching back and forth a little bit, so just pay extra close attention to that. When you see an XX here putting on a date, that identifies that we want a current date in there. So you don't always have to put in the date listed. We want a current date. So in the instructions here, go to our Google Docs in our account, blank document, key the personal business letter as shown, 4 enters after the date, and the word sincerely has 4 enters after that too for signature, and then 2 enters in between the rest of the document. So that's how we get this nice spacing here to identify the paragraphs. And then finally, sincerely here, we'll also have the 4 enters. So we'll go ahead and start keying that here, and then we'll take a look at how I approach it. I'm starting with the current date, so I make sure I'm at the top. And we like to write it out, especially if we're communicating with somebody, because the more we write out, we don't look lazy. We don't want people to think that we're not serious about whether we're applying for a scholarship or a job. So August 29th, 2019 is my current date. Of course, you will fill out your current date. Then 4 enters. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice we didn't change any instructions. We're staying with the default font size and style, so it's okay. I know in the last chapter we changed a lot of these things, but this chapter is more about correct business letter formatting. So from here, I'm going to enter the name of the person I'm writing to and their contact information. We always capitalize our state with 2 capital letters. And so now we have our contact information, just 2 enters, 1, 2. Then I'm going to do my greeting. Dear Mr. Sims. Now this is called open punctuation, so I'm actually going to enter down twice to start my paragraph. You can use a colon here, but open punctuation we don't. Both are acceptable as long as, again, like the block style letter, we remain consistent throughout the rest of the document. So I'm going to go ahead and enter the text from my document that I'm looking at on my desk, and then I'm going to make sure my paragraph structure is good, and then I'm going to make sure and have an enter, 2 enters between each paragraph. So I'm going to take a second and do that. I paused that while I entered in the text real quick so you didn't have to watch me type for a few minutes. So here I've entered each paragraph. At the end of the paragraph, I enter again, and that puts me right here to enter my next paragraph. Then finally I conclude right here. I enter down once, twice, and then I can do my sincerely. Again, this is open punctuation. So if I'm leaving it open here, then I need to leave it open here. If I do a semicolon here for non-open punctuation, then I'd want to add a comma here. I know that can be a little confusing, especially after a lot of the things you learn in English class, but this is a technique, again, in the business industry called an open business letter. From here, I'm going to enter down 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to put, or I should say, you will put your name and your contact information. For the sample, I'm just going to put the school's address. Since we're in Google, you will need to do the ENYA yourself. When again in Microsoft, we practiced making an autocorrect do that. So using the number pad on the right side of your keyboard, I'm going to hold down Alt and then hit 164, and you'll see the ENYA come up. Again, that's Alt 164. Then I can finish typing the word Canyon City. Again, capitalize the C and the O for the state. And then we would have also a phone number and email address there. So we might do something like this. So that we always have our full contact information in the document. So again, as a review, current date, who we're writing to, greeting, closing, address, the spot is to sign it. We're turning it in digitally, so you won't need to print and sign it, but when we're using this professionally, we would have a signature there. And then, again, I can, as always, get my name on this assignment. So I'm going to go to Insert, and in Google, we go to this header and page number, and then you see the footer option. And down here, again, my name. Tab a couple times to get towards the middle. This is PBL1 Sims. And I'm going to tab over to the right here and get the current date down. Business apps, block number, and then the current date, 8/29/2019. Oops. So then my letter's completed. Again, when I'm done here, I can click back into my regular document. And remember, most of you are fairly new to the class, switching back and forth between Google Docs and Microsoft. Google Docs is saving as we work. Microsoft Office does not do that. So you need to make sure you're being clear on what you're working in, and that's part of the class, is we want to get you comfortable switching around between softwares and the expectation of using different programs. So here, PBL1 Sims is all done, and I could, again with this chapter, we're going to complete it all before we submit it, and it will have editing tasks at the end of the chapter. So again, that is PBL1 Sims, part of Unit 3.